So welcome everybody to our session this quarter, covering how to turn clients into fans. It was very popular, but so it seems to be a subject that interests a lot of people, which is always good. What we intend to cover today, so we've got Geraint here doing the first session. And he will cover, so Action Coach do quite a lot, don't they, about raving fans. So talk about the theory, the idea, what is it, and then also obviously practice in terms of how can you turn more clients into fans. I will talk about how we've actually made changes in the last 2 years in the business to get more client referrals, and we are getting more client referrals as a result. So I thought I would share just what we've done. It is interactive. I've got a few questions for you guys and a few things for you to do. So please participate. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pass over to Geraint, who's going to share his screen.
Lovely. Okay. So thank you, Defeat. So really today I'm going to look at what are raving fans and why it's important to have them, and then how to make more customers become those raving fans for you. So, and again, a bit like your feet, it's going to be as participatory as you make it. Otherwise, it's just me talking, you know. So, yeah, let's see what happens. So, what would you say is, what would you consider to raving fans to be rather than customers? First of all, what's a raving fan versus a customer? Anyone can.
Someone's had a good experience with your product.
Great. Someone's had a good experience with you and your product. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Anyone else?
I'd say somebody who's had a good experience, but more so they're talking about it. It's been so good. They're talking about it to everybody. They're telling everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's fantastic, Alex. Thank you. And I think it's the fact that they're customers that are so over the moon with your business and the service that you provide that, you know, not only will they tell their friends and colleagues about you, but they'll actually bring them to you and help you make the sales for them. So they are absolutely, you know, the thing that you want your customers to be. And really, if you think about customers, it's about, you know, loyalty and referrals. And loyalty and referrals equals an increased lifetime value. So really getting that loyalty from them, you then get those referrals and vice versa, which then it adds to the lifetime value of that client, that customer. So really, if you think about what a customer wants, what does a customer want? What do we as customers want from where we get our products or services? What do we want from those service providers?
The best quality at the best price, I would say.
The best quality at the best price. Yeah, absolutely. What else might we want from as a customer?
Peace of mind.
That works.
Peace of mind. What was that, Steve? Sorry?
Something that works.
Something that works. Absolutely. And this is really all looking at satisfaction. So we want to get satisfaction. However, you know, us as customers, if you think about what we want, we generally want more than we expected. To actually say, oh, didn't we have a fantastic service? So it's almost not good enough now to provide them with something that you provide, because that's the norm. So it's actually by saying, actually, how can we give them something than we, you know, more than they want or more than they expect? That becomes that satisfaction plus. So how do we give them more than they want or more than they expect? What is it about, you know, everything that you were just saying there before? Actually, it's not just the product. It becomes about the experience. So what do they experience as customers when they have any interaction with you? So what do your customers get? So apart from the product, what do they expect and
Honesty.
What do they get? Sorry?
Honesty.
Honesty. Great. Fantastic. Lovely. Anything else? What else do they get when they have an interaction with you?
Knowledge.
They get knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, yes. So that knowledge, that honesty, all becomes part of the experience they have when they have that interaction. So it's not just about the product or service that you provide. It's the way you provide it and how you provide it. So, actually, if you think about what I said before about, once they've experienced great service becomes the norm. So you can't just rely on giving them the service that you gave them the last time, because they come to expect it. So, customers will always expect you to get better. Always. Okay. Now, one of the things that we always look at Action Coach, and that is we call the ladder of loyalty. So I'm just going to go through the ladder, and I just want you to think, while I'm going through it, think about who might you consider on your customer base. Who do you consider part of this, and where do you think they sit? Okay, so first of all, we have a suspect. Now, what would you consider? Who do you consider what a suspect might be?
Somebody you've got the number for a name, but you've not spoken to.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone that you can buy from you, anyone at all. We then move on to prospect. Now, a prospect has connected with you. So they've started building loyalty at this point. Okay. So how do you, I'm going to say quite in a mercenary term in a way, how do you get their data? What do you need to do to be able to communicate and connect with them?
Talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, talk to them. So, are they part of your marketing database? So, anytime you get an email address, a phone number, this is how you connect to people. So these all become those prospects. We then move up to a shopper. Now, what would you consider the difference between a shopper and a customer?
Someone who's just having a look, a shopper.
Ah, okay. So we consider almost there, Steve. And I think it's because once somebody has made a sale once, they're a shopper. Okay. So they've made one transaction. So at this point, they're in your shop. Okay. And they've come to the till and they bought something. Great. They like your products. They like what you've got to sell. They've made a transaction. So really at this point, if we're looking at how to create these raving fans, so increasing your connection, communicate them based on their purchase. Okay, what did they purchase? How can you communicate with them that based on something that they've actually bought that's relevant to them rather than just bombarding them with marketing? Thank them for shopping, and maybe actually, give them that saying, well, actually, if you return, you can get I'm not going to call the word the discount, but you can get an offer. Okay. So again, so that they come back and build up that loyalty. Then we move on to that customer. Now, if you think the difference between the customer and a shopper is at this stage, they've made multiple purchases over time. Okay. So apart from just them coming back, how might you increase the chance of them coming back? What could you give them?
Guarantees.
Lovely. Guarantees. Yeah, most definitely. Yes. The other thing is loyalty programs. The more they come back, they're great enticements. Okay. So they become accustomed to doing business with you. And at this level, you actually establish a personal connection to your business. And actually that's where, that those guarantees, you only offer them to those customers that are returning. You don't just give them to a shopper, you give them for that loyalty. That's why, why shops have loyalty cards. It's so that they entice you back. We then move on to a member. And a member, at this point, customers feel like they belong. They become part of the organization. So membership kits, loyalty programs, VIP programs, special landing pages, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And again, it gives them that sense of elevated level of service. So it could be, they get potential promotional products or items of swag. Again, different levels of pricing. But again, all of that, and again, if you think about word of mouth and how that works, if people know that actually that there are membership levels and they get special deals, this starts to filter out. We then get towards the top of the ladder, not quite, almost, but not quite. The last one, the second to last, sorry, is the advocate. Now, at this level, you can start asking for referrals because they know what you do. They recognize what you do. They feel special. A special referral program allows them to share your business in a formalized way. Okay, so allow them to help them refer you. Give them materials that can help them refer you. Build a systemized way that the customers can actually endorse your business. Social media posts, emails to their database so that they can then forward those on. Okay, and at this point, this is where they really are starting to spread the word. And then finally, we have the raving fan. So at this level, customers spontaneously sell for you. And again, they become almost one of your best salespeople because they live the product. They get the customer service. So you don't need to do the selling; they do it for you. Okay. And now their value is priceless, and they become so confident about you, they are actually almost willing to put their reputation on the line because they know you and they say, oh yes, I absolutely trust them with my life. I know that sounds a bit obvious, but it can get to that point. So these are the customers that you take the most care of. So they do the selling for you. So if you think about your current customer base, how many of them would do the selling for you? How many of them sell your product for you? Okay. And actually for those levels, if you think about all of your customers, so for the different levels of those on the ladder, what level of service do you provide for them? And how would you know? Have you ever asked them? So, we always constantly talk at Action Coach about testing and measuring. Test and measure, test and measure, test and measure. So have you tested it? Have you measured it? Do you know what level of service you provide? Do you know what they think you provide? And how well does that come across? If you don't know, how will you know? If you don't ask, how will you know? Okay. One of those parts is that we always talk about is to create those raving fans. It's not just about, it's not just about what the products, it's about what you provide for them, what service level. And we talk about critical non-essentials. And what earth are critical non-essentials? Well, so these are things that are, as it says on the tin, non-essential, but actually are critical to building a strong relationship. So can you think about, again, unmute yourselves, what might be a great critical non-essential for your business?
I know one for Steve's business. It's the app, isn't it, Steve? It says in Steve Windybank from WPA.
Tell me more, Steve.
He's on mute.
Oh, I'm just off mute now. Sorry, I was trying to figure
right.
out how to get off mute. So I suppose it's the confidence that they want, that once they go to use the product will work for them, and it's fit for purpose. Which I think
your app that you give to clients to make appointments with, etc., and all, and GP services. There's loads of stuff that WPA offer that's extra value for money, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm giving you some marketing for your business today, but I do think some
Very
great
kind of you,
examples.
So Yafi, what would you say your critical non-essentials?
I think for us, well, doing the webinars, for example, is something that we developed, and we do this for our clients and predominantly, and then offer it out to other people in our network, just to provide. I think the idea is to help people use what we give them better. So for our clients to use our leads better and get more out of them. That's why we do the sales enablement. So that's an example.
Absolutely. So, you know, some of the things that we provide at Action Coach. So we'll send out books. So we'll send out the E-Myth Revisited to those people that are potential new clients. So we'll say, have a read of that before our next session. So we are sending them something. We don't have to do it, but it's critical. So it's not essential, but it's critical, if that makes sense. So there are certain things that you can do. It's finding out when people's birthdays are, partners' names, children's names, and actually sending a birthday card to that other. So not necessarily the business owner, but to their partners, to their children, anniversaries, little things like that. If you didn't do it, it doesn't matter. But actually, it matters to that experience, creating that they're becoming raving fans. Okay. And actually, if you think about it, results times relationships equals retentions plus referrals, as I've just talked about as in that raving fan. So the more results they're getting, that you're getting, and the relationship that you're creating, you create that retention, but more importantly, you get referrals. So just really quickly about, why, and I know that it's a bit small, but and I'm not going to read all that. You can read all that. I'm not just going to read off the script, off the slides, but actually, it's easier to try and keep your customers than trying to get new ones. Okay. And actually, as it says there, it's 14 times more likely to, no, wrong one. Yeah, no, 14 times more likely to sell to an existing client than a new one. Okay. So who have you got that is on your customer base that you haven't spoken to in a while? So, go through your database and actually say, well, so where are they on that ladder? How could I get them from an advocate up through to a raving fan? Or how can I get them through from a customer through to a member? Because there are things that you can do by creating these critical non-essentials and creating that experience. You create a better experience for them, and therefore that more retention. And for them, and if we go on to the next one for the whole referrals, there we go. Look, you can say, look, 65% of new business comes from referrals. Obviously, this has come from the New York Times, but 74% of consumers identify word of mouth as key influence of their purchasing decision. Okay, so if you're doing a good job for somebody else, it is more likely that they will spread the word. It's the hero effect, isn't it? Only is it 1 out of 10 people will, if you do a good job, 1 out of 10 will hear. If you do a bad job, 9 out of 10 will hear. Okay, so provide that good service. Another part, and I was talking about testing and measuring, and that's about the Net Promoter Score. Have any of you ever asked your customers on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are they to recommend your company to friends or colleagues? Great, yeah. And your feet, does it? I'm going to say, does it work? What response rate do you get?
So we I'm going to talk about it in my session, but yeah, we do get responses, and they are high. So there's a willingness to do that there, and that's a good start for you to feel comfortable to ask for referrals.
Absolutely. And it's that the second one is those other questions is why did you give us that score? What could we have done to get a 10? because you want to always be learning. And it's saying, look, we want to learn from you. Again, there's, nothing says that actually that you're being listened to, and actually someone says, oh, tell me how we could improve. You're listening to them. You're listening to a customer. Not saying we're the be all and end all. This is who we are. You're saying we'd like to learn from you. That's a great way to get retention and to get referrals. Okay. So what builds that raving fan? So we've talked about what they are. Now let's look at how we can build them. Great price. I think Adam, you mentioned that about great price, great product, great customer service. Yeah, great. But actually thinking about why people leave. So why people or don't come back is the other one. And I think Yafita's mentioned this before. The biggest one here is perceived indifference. So do you come across as being indifferent to your customers? As part of, this one out. No perceived indifference. So if you don't come across as being indifferent and you have consistency and you're easy to buy, we call that the wow factor. So it's really easy. It's really easy, but it's amazing how many people don't do this. So, having that consistency. Do you have a consistency in your delivery? Have a script, have a system, have a process. That's another whole nother webinar, your feet.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a process, why not? Because how do you know then if you're consistently giving somebody a great service? Okay, so really think about that. So it's what does give your customer a feeling of consistency? Ask them. If you don't know, ask them. How do they feel consistent with the products and services that you deliver and the experience that they're getting? Do they always get the same experience? Because if not, they're going to be less loyal. Okay, so it's about, you think about all the brands that we buy from. Why do we buy consistently? Because of loyalty, because there is a consistency. So, it's about making sure that you make your customers feel that it's easy to buy from. And how do you do that? Well, sorry. Are you easy to get on with? Do you have a simple onboarding process? Is it easy to pay? Easy to return, easy to give feedback? How could you start implementing this in your business? And when you've got all this, you basically have your wow moment. So how can you start implementing, or if you haven't already, putting this into your business? Have you asked them to find out? Okay. Last two slides for me, really, and that's, what are your moments of truth? So when you ask your customers, what really impresses them? Because it might not be as much as you think. So really think about what it takes to impress your customers. Okay. And then just a couple of slides, a couple of tips, I suppose, to build those raving fans. Get to know your customers. Don't just treat them as customers. Treat them as friends. Treat them as loyal friends. Give advice rather than information. So, don't try and, I know that sounds a bit weird, but don't try and sell to them. Okay. What do they get after they've spoken to you? What's the point of you? Deliver more than you promised to create those raving fans. Send them thank you cards. Sell them everything that they need to gain maximum benefit from the purchase. Use their name. Okay. Follow up and follow up again, and follow up and follow up again, and follow up and follow up again. Okay. And I suppose finally, under promise and over deliver. Okay. Thank you. So now over to your feet.
Thank you.
I'm going to stop sharing.
We'll have an option to ask questions in the end, unless somebody's got anything really burning that they want to ask now. Not, can you see my screen okay, everyone?
Indeed.
Okay. So what I wanted to do, because Geraint, I think a lot of it was stuff that you can take away and look at in your business. So it was very practical, but I thought maybe you'd want a little bit of a case study. talking about what we've done, because we've made a lot of changes in our business the last 2 years. We've actually increased our retention from in the region of about 40 to 79%. So it has made a difference to retention. We are getting some more referrals from clients now, and it's still work in progress. So I wanted to just share that with you if it's helpful. So essentially, when we all got sent into lockdown 2 years ago, do you remember that moment? I don't think we'll ever forget. A lot of clients called in, and rightly so, really worried, and decided to hold and stuff like that. Thankfully we did save some, but I had a bit more time really. So I decided to read the referral engine, and just never looked back, because I found the book really useful, and we actually made changes, on the basis of his recommendations. So what I've done is I'm going to talk a little bit about the book, and what it's about, but also then show how we made those changes in our business. So, it might be helpful in terms of an example of things that you could do yourselves. So the referral engine is basically what he's saying is these are the key messages for him. So he is saying that human beings are actually there to make referrals, and it's actually something we use as a form of survival. So if you look at it in past times, people needed to know where to go to hunt and where to go to get good wood, and so that's kind of how it's developed in society as a social skill to refer others and to use your knowledge and share it. So people really enjoy it. They really enjoy actually being able to help others and being able to sort of share with them what they know and people they know, etc. So it is something to remember, because I think the first stumbling block, as John, I can't say his surname, so you're going to have to forgive me. How he says in his book that the main stumbling block is that we are too worried about asking for referrals, because we're worried about asking our clients for something. We think they're going to say no. So, bear these in mind. It's quite important. Another one that I absolutely love, and it is inspired by Seth Godin, is about boring businesses. So nobody actually wants to talk about a boring business. So if your business is nothing that people can talk about with excitement, then that might be a stumbling block for them to go and talk about you. And obviously, like Grant already said, consistency builds trust. So consistency in over delivering, in delivery of service is all really important. And I think crucially, I think I agree with that. I don't know what other marketeers in the room think, Alex and Alex. We talk to so many people who tell us most of their business comes from referrals, but none of them ever have a system for it. So they just sit there and wait for referrals to come in, and that is I think is problematic, really. So the point is to really try and get over those sort of those stumbling blocks that stop us from asking for referrals, but build a system, because without a system, as Grant already said, nothing ever happens. So it's quite important. So here is what he talks about in terms of creating a referral system. So there are a number of steps and a number of things you need to look at. The book is more complicated than that. I simplified it, and I'm talking about the ones I used that helped me. So you're very welcome to read the book and look at other things. But so you need to understand your referral number. And I know that Grant has talked about, how many in your business are raving fans, how many are prospects. And that, I think, is obviously it goes out of your customer base. It goes into your entire pipeline and how the numbers work in that. I think it's important to know how many clients you already have that refer you, and how many, and how many don't. So it's the first step is to understand that and see where you are with that. I think exceeding expectations, not easy to do, because I think what Grind actually said, I like that, is ask your clients what impresses them, because I might think something I'm doing is really impressive and amazing, but clients are just thinking it's run of the mill. You have to do that. So it is quite important to understand how to exceed expectations. Just do it. Don't be a boring business. Yeah, just be different, be somebody that people talk about, because you do stuff over and above the expectations. But it's not as easy as it sounds. Everyone's in customer service. I mean, when I was in sales in big companies, they always used to tell us that everyone's a salesperson. But I looked actually at what the book says about everyone being in customer service. It's so important that the whole team is involved in that they buy into that vision of delighting customers and putting customers first. So I have stopped everyone in the company to joke about any clients. We're not allowed to do that at all. Because I think that's disrespectful to talk about people behind their backs. And I don't care if they cause issues or there is something, it doesn't matter. We don't joke about clients or moan about clients because they pay our bills. So that's something that I've introduced. And I think that that's quite important. But certainly that's something that I think is important if you're going to make it work. Learn to ask for referrals. How do you ask them? At what points? How? Make it easy to refer you. Because, you know, I have learned in life that it doesn't matter what you do, no one understands it apart from you. So, you know, it doesn't matter what your business is about, other people don't understand what you do. So it's not easy for people. You think, well, you know, I do IT support, John, don't I? So, you know, it's easy enough for people to just go and say that I'm great at IT support. But it really is important as part of your system to add that in. And the last thing is to reward people. So he talks quite a lot in the book about the fact that people who are good, people who like to refer and like to help, don't like to get money for it. So it isn't about offering money. And I think often we've all been there where we said to people, yeah, we're happy to pay a referral fee. A lot of people actually are quite embarrassed by that. But if you sent them a nice bunch of flowers or a chocolate or a coffee or a wine, they really like it. So it's finding ways to reward people and to sort of make them know that you've noticed and that you really appreciate it. That's a really key for getting more referrals from people. Once they've referred you once you've got there. So just a bit more information about each step, what we've done. So the referral numbers, similar to what Grind has said, but essentially in the referral engine, he looks at promoters, which are fans, passives, who will, if I went to them and say what you like, they'll say, oh, they're good. Yeah, I'm getting results. I'm happy. But they won't actually go out their way to help. And then there's detractors as well, who will go out their way not to refer you, which is an interesting one. I don't know. I didn't have any like that in my business, but I don't know if you could think of any like that in your business, in terms of the different customers you've got. I mean, typically we have less clients. Some businesses obviously have, a lot of clients, so you'd have more people. But looking at that, can anyone share their numbers? Would anybody consider, have an initial thought about numbers? How many promoters do you have in your business? What, if you don't want to give numbers, what percentage is it of your client base? Can anyone share? I have to say, when we started, we had one promoter and probably about 5 passives, no detractors. So, not many promoters. It's not easy to get promoters.
I think we did this very recently, actually. The whole NPS, I suppose. So it's similar. It's not quite the referrals, but it's similar. The problem is I can't tell you how many actually responded, but actually we got 97% of approval rate.
Oh, that's good.
From the people that. So I couldn't tell you how many of our clients responded, but I do know it's 97% that actually that said that they would refer us.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's data, isn't it? It's testing and measuring it.
It is. And it's also about taking it into the next step. So once people have said yes, they'd be happy to refer, it's about then finding ways to build that relationship, because I do think that there is an element of people saying that because it's a nice thing to say, but whether they're actually going to do that, that's another question. So that's where the system comes in. But it is important to get that verification, because if someone says, look, you're okay, but I wouldn't refer you, you don't want to ask them. So it's good to know where they stand. And we do get people, well, we did have a couple of people who said that, so it's important to know that anyway. So know your referral numbers as a start, sort of get an idea and get some names on there. So not just percentages, just who is your promoter? Why are they their promoters? Your promoter? Why do they like your business? How do they go about doing it? What have you done to help them with that? So all of these things are really helpful for you to understand. The next step was exceeding expectations. So I'd be really interested in hearing what other people are doing in their businesses, but we did a number of key things. We built our own CRM, not on our own. we got Evergreen to build a CRM for us, which works really well, and it shows our work in a much clearer way. So rather than using a normal CRM, this is a campaign-based CRM, so we can show clients on the dashboard how each campaign went. We can pull really good reporting out of it. We have some clients of your business development team here, so that you're all welcome to say how wonderful our CRM is. And then we also, I went and sort of we recruited account managers. We have a team of 2 now, and every client have an account manager that run the reports with them, that looks after them, so they have a specific point of contact that's dedicated to customer service. We have created detailed monthly reviews and reports, so we've got a process in place, what we go through, what we do. The reports go to a lot of detail, because I think the devil's in the detail in everything, but with lead generation, I just think it's really key, because often people think you're doing nothing. But you are, but they're not seeing it. So it's about sort of showing the good leads and the good conversations we've had, and talking about how we're doing every month with clients, having that conversation and really making sure that people are involved. It's their marketing, their lead generation. And then I also, you'd laugh because you think I've always done it, but I've never, ever had performance KPIs for my telemarketing team. So we've never told them what the expectation is. And so since I've done this, we've got a clear KPI, KPI system in place. Every month it gets measured. They get an email saying how they scored against each campaign, and it made a massive difference. I mean, they're all really talented individuals, but until they were told this is the expectation, they didn't know. So that made a difference, a massive difference to us in terms of exceeding expectations, because for our clients, getting results, feeling they're getting results, feeling they're getting something out of it is everything. I think it's true for every business, but with a lead generation business, if you don't get results, you don't have business. So those were the things that we did. That's a couple of examples. Anybody else have anything that they could share, how they exceed expectations in their business?
It is part of what we do. The process that we talk about as Action Coach is that it has to start from within. If you're expecting your customers to see you as exceptional and you don't have exceptional service within, you don't have that integrity. So actually, by creating the internal expectations, this will then start to feed out to your external ones.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think that the one thing we haven't done actually is asked our clients if they think we exceed expectations. So that's going to make it to our customer questionnaire this year, because I do think it's a really good point actually. But I suppose the fact that people are staying with us longer and are feeling happy, which is something that we really do try to ascertain every month with people, it is showing that people are happy with the service and feeling they're getting value. So that's that. In terms of everyone's in customer service, what I've done is kind of recreated our core values. So when I started in business, I always thought this core values and vision was complete rubbish. But I've learned since then that it is really, really important. And so, these are the core values that are on everything that we have, all the internal communications and all our, so when we have meetings, team meetings with the team, and we always have these and go through them with every new employee and new associate to make sure that it's clear. And I think that this idea of being interested in our clients' business is something that I do drum into our account managers, because it is beyond telling them about what we've achieved. It's really understanding what they're going through, where they are, what makes sense in what's happening in the industry at the moment, really understanding that. And it's so easy to forget to do that in marketing and be so involved in just what you want to do and how you want to drive it and your strategy. But things change. So that's something that I think has made a difference to us. Because especially, with the small business, and I've written them, is it my core values? If you ask my team, will they all be able to recite it? Probably not. But it is about trying to sort of live by those and really sort of, keep a positive approach, always look for a solution. Results is everything they know. If we have no results, we have no business. So this is a massive thing for us. And always be helpful to people, do the best that we can to get a solution, get an answer. And I think supporting each other. I mean, I've really been moved by how one of the girls in our teams lost her mum a couple of weeks ago, and how everyone rallied together to see how they can take her work off her and what can they do. And I didn't ask for it, so I feel that some of these things do actually sort of are in the business, which I'm happy and proud of. So that's that in terms of everyone's in customer service. I mean, examples of that can be, people have, some companies have offered people, new recruitees money to leave. So 2 or 3 months salary. I wouldn't do that because I can't afford it, but they offered recruitees some money to leave. If they were to leave now, they get a 3-month salary. Will they leave? And if they leave, then they're not the right for them, not the right employee for them. So there's different things you can do, but that's just an example. In terms of asking for referrals, well, I know that's really hard. And I know that it's not sort of in the culture of a lot of people living in this country. So what I've done, the system I've built starts with a customer survey. So once we've onboarded somebody, we send them an onboarding survey to ask them how their experience was, because we do have an onboarding service that's quite an onboarding stage that's quite clear. We send out a document to talk to them about everything, so they know what they're to expect, etc., etc. So we ask them at that stage how have they found it, and would they. So we always include that question. At 1 to 10, would you recommend us to others? But I don't leave it at that. So if they say yes, I say, okay, well, what would make it easier for you to refer us? And then give them 4 options. So I say, is it easier if we give you an offer that you can offer your clients? If we had a one-to-one and saw how we can give each other referrals, so I give options to people, and then other as well, and just try to see what they say, so I can take it another notch. And I absolutely ask them how to make it easier to refer us. So, is there anything that I can give? Is there any information that we can give? So I actually got a document explaining, some facts about us that people can use, like who we work with, and and we also have a voucher. So if people wanted to give discounts to their clients, we have that. I have spoken to people quite a lot about building a 2-way referral relationship. So I always refer my clients where I can. And that makes it sort of a lot easier then, because it's a giver's gain, like BNI say. But it does build that relationship, and it doesn't mean that you're over there asking for stuff and don't ever give anything back. Regular reminder tools can be your client surveys once a year if you do them, your newsletters with a little button at the bottom saying, here is our offer if you want, for referrals this month. And absolutely additional value. I think that is so key, and there's quite a lot in the book about that. So I really recommend reading that book, as different options about building additional value, and obviously different businesses will do it in different ways. So that's those are just that's the sort of our system, if you like, that we've put in place. In terms of making it easy to refer, this is our voucher. You can see behind there, essentially we have a document that I've created that explains our products, gives them even questions that they can ask in terms of, but that's from years in BNI of trying to help people, ask their clients and help them start referring. So what questions can you ask? What do you listen out to? For us, if somebody is moaning about new business sales, well, great. And people do often moan about them. So if they have moaned about them, can you actually introduce us at that point? Because actually we provide the solution to that. So they might actually be really happy. We can all offer a free audit or a review. We can sometimes offer a discount initial work. So our voucher offers 50% on our strategy, which is a nice offer that people can give. Useful content, other things that you can provide to sort of support what you do. So those are the things that we've chosen to do to help people. And I've actually had one of our dearest clients that is here today and said that he didn't want to give people that voucher because he felt the strategy is good and he doesn't think we should discount it, which is fair enough. It's a very nice thing to say. But it's there for people if that's easier for them to broach a conversation. And then in terms of saying things, we use Hug. Is anyone who's heard of Hug? It is a platform that allows you to buy stuff like a cupcake for people, a cup of coffee for people, a bunch of flowers, some wine. If you, over Christmas, obviously Christmas presents and stuff like that, there's bigger things that you can buy for your clients, and it's very good for if you've got client base around the country, because you send a link basically and they can claim the reward, the present, and they can have it delivered to their house. They can choose, if you're giving them coffee, they can choose the type of beans they want, they can choose the wine they want. So it is really nice, very thought through, and you can always also choose to donate for charity. So I have some clients that don't like the fact that they don't want to take a present or whatever, so they'll donate to charity and they love it. So there's lots of options. I really like Hug because of the fact that you can go from really little stuff to bigger stuff, and the easiness in terms of actually sending it across to people. Obviously there's other ways of doing things, other products exist, but Hug is what we use. So it's HUGG, Hug. And that is everything in terms of what I wanted to cover today. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions, or for myself or Geraint, about anything that we said or wanted to share anything.
The testimonials rather than a beneficial, do you feel?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, because you've got to show the social proof, isn't it, that somebody else has been there before you.
If somebody else says that you're good rather than you saying you're good, it speaks. It's tenfold. So most definitely. And then you can share them. You can share them anywhere. You can share them, on LinkedIn, on various platforms as well.
So I started to sort of create the consultancy side of the business that's probably 12 months ago. So the first thing I wanted was to create case studies, so other people can see that it was used by someone else and it was useful, etc. I think they're key, really important.
I was just going to say, thank you. It's all kind of stuff I vaguely knew, but it's nice to see how you brought it together into a process. I think that's the key, isn't it? It's really making it a big part of your business. It's one of those things about working on your business as opposed to just working for your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And that's why I like the book, The Referral Engine, because it really helps you. It takes you step by step to create it in your business, which, there are a variety of business books out there, some of which are written by Brad Sugar, by the way. But I did find that a really useful book. So I do recommend it, and I don't get any money from him. He's a great one.
It is a really good book. I've read it a couple of times. So I recommend it as well. It's definitely worth getting, everybody, if you haven't.
Thank you.
Going back to the figure you asked some time ago about the promoters and passives, we are probably haven't got a fix on it. I'd probably say 95% passives, 5% promoters. We don't have detractors that we know about. because when I did the action coach about 5 years ago, one of the things I did with the business is looked at the business, any detractors or poor business. I said, you know, we either improve, or you improve with us, or we get rid of them. And the people who left, and the people who stayed improved, and they've become, you know, very good clients. So from an action point of view, that was a very good process for us.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Rob used to tell us, didn't he? If you put the prices up, and then if they stay, at least you make more money.
Well, that's it, exactly it. And it worked very well.
Thank you very much, John. So I know that it's nearly time to say goodbye. So I just wanted to just say a few things in terms of, so there's some new people today that didn't come before. So I'm just letting you know, we do this quarterly. Our next one is on the 21st of June. I don't yet know what the subject's going to be, but I do think it's going to be still about this idea of referrals and increasing loyalty. So we'll just have to think of something, and then I'll let everyone know. And so obviously what we'll do today, unless you tell us otherwise, we'll put you on our webinar data list. So when we send emails to invite, we'll invite you along, and you can come if you want or not, up to you. And then, you know, if you want to get in touch and talk to either Geraint or myself about anything that we talked about today, then please get in touch. I will send an email with the recording of this session after, you know, and then we'll have all the details of, you know, contacting. So if you wanted to get in touch with Geraint or myself, you'll be able to. And thanks again for your time. It was lovely to see you today. Have a good rest of the week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.